Yeah, so Barcelona through to the quarter-finals. Let's welcome in more on this, shall we? Ian Dark is with us, as is Luis Garcia. Luis, in the end, Barca getting through, but made hard work of it. Fair enough?
Yeah, they did make hard work of it.
Yeah, I think so.
You could see why Racing Santander might well be promoted into the La Liga next season. I thought they put in a good effort, but as Craig said, what an opportunity. They should have really, a little pass to the right and is a goal. And there were a couple of other incidents, one near the end as well, where they could have equalised. So, yeah, in the end, it looks like a routine win for Barcelona. It wasn't quite a routine win, but, you know, their win streak goes on.
Right, go to Ian Dart this time.
Hey, the people want to hear from Ian. Who wants to hear from Luis? Luis, what do you reckon?
No, I agree. I actually agree very much with Ian. I think that it was a tough game for Barcelona, allowed them to rotate a little bit. It's been quite few intense games with the Super Cup and El Clásico. So you rotate Rafinha, you rotate Lewandowski, you rotate Pedri, players who are going to be very needed in the rest of the season, giving opportunity to young players who doesn't do the same work. But in the end, it was going through. It was all about that. After what we saw yesterday about Real Madrid being defeated by a second team, a team from the second league, the second division here in Spain. Today was all about going through. They did the job. They did actually a good work during the 90 minutes, keeping the ball, being dominant. But in the end, it was all about the same thing. That high line, the problems with the spaces, and when Racing de Santander start bringing and committing players forward. And Barcelona starting creating, giving opportunities when Ferran Torres scored that goal, and then the second one. So it was just about getting the job done and going through to the next round.
Another goal for Ferran Torres, Luis, of course, leading the goal scorers for Barcelona so far this season.
Yeah, definitely. And it was Fermin that also is having a fantastic season,
yeah.
the one who was assisting. It wasn't an easy game for Ferran Torres because there were so many players around him. Racing Santander knew about tightening the space into the middle of the park, so it was all the time giving the back to the defense and the goal. And it was one chance that he had in front of the goal, and he was clinical. So once again, Ferran Torres proven to Hansi Flick that he's going to have problems to decide if it's going to be Ferran Torres the one is starting at the weekend, or it's going to be Lewandowski, who got a few minutes at the end of the game.
Just a reminder then, Barcelona in action this weekend as we bring you all those La Liga games live on ESPN Plus. They're away against Real Sociedad in San Sebastian. Coverage starts at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN Plus. The front page is, of course, all the sports newspapers dominated by Real Madrid's exit from the Copa del Rey. Total debacle. Life stays the same or worse. Knocked out. Dreadful embarrassment. No Super Copa. No cup for Real Madrid. Who's to blame? Well, there was disagreement in the press conferences afterwards. Arbeloa blamed himself. Carvajal blamed the players.
Es dolorosa, estoy seguro que todos nuestros aficionados lo están y bueno, más cuando lo haces con un equipo de una categoría inferior, aunque aquí ya sabemos la dificultad que te propone cualquier equipo. Lo vimos también el día del Talavera, cómo se dio el partido y evidentemente, bueno, pues a partir de aquí hay que mejorar, ¿no? Si alguien es el responsable y el culpable de esta victoria, evidentemente soy yo, que soy el que he tomado las decisiones en cuanto a la alineación, a cómo queríamos jugar, los cambios. Pues, yo solo puedo agradecer a los jugadores la bienvenida que me han dado, el esfuerzo que han hecho hoy y bueno, intentar recuperarles anímicamente, físicamente también, evidentemente, y a partir de aquí mejorar y ir a por el partido del sábado.
Creo que hoy hemos tocado fondo, nos ha eliminado un equipo de segunda división, enhorabuena para ellos, y a partir de mañana hacer creo que una autocrítica cada uno individualmente y colectivamente. Estamos a tiempo de remontar la temporada, tenemos dos competiciones fantásticas en las que vamos a luchar por ellas por todo.
Just a reminder, this is an Albacete side who have been rubbish. Haven't won a game since December, struggling in their league, yet they come against Real Madrid and put in a performance of the season, performance of a lifetime, as you heard before. They'd never beaten Real Madrid before.
Got 10 points at home all season.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's just...
Luis, why are you smiling so much? What's up with you? Have you heard a funny joke?
Oh no! I'm not laughing. It's surprising. I mean, I'm not happy when Real. Well, I'm not sad anyway when Real Madrid doesn't win. But definitely, I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm trying to address that. But definitely, it wasn't pleasant to see Real Madrid. We want Real Madrid trying to be competitive and delivering good performance and enjoy it. That's why we like football, to see the best players do their best. And definitely, it's not what we've seen so far. But it's not about yesterday, or it's not about the weekend, or it's not about what we've seen of this Real Madrid this season. That we cover every game, in every single game we've been saying the same. This is not a Real Madrid that we enjoy, that we like. It's not a Real Madrid that is composed. It's not a Real Madrid that is played at something. So I'm not. I'm a little bit surprised why people is right now shocked by the result and talking to Arbeloa like if it's any fault. I think that Real Madrid needs to get together. I think Carvajal is totally right. Now they are rock bottom. They need to put together and think all together to try and push in the same direction if they want to recover and get back into their best.
Few elite dressing rooms at the moment, and probably none. Because Man United are not elite, are they? You know, we're talking about clubs that are in a bit of a era of some turmoil.
Yeah.
But certainly if we're looking at Real Madrid as an elite football club, the most successful in the world, I can't think of a bigger dressing room at the moment that needs a bunch of players with the biggest kick up the backside than this dressing room. No dressing room needs more home truths than this one. It doesn't need soft soap, it doesn't need the arm round, it needs some home truths. And we on the show the other day talked about, I think it was us three, talked about leadership within the dressing room and who could provide that. And we talked about people like, you know, the more experienced players like Militao and Rudiger and Thibaut Courtois and maybe one or two others. But Dani Carvajal was the player that I felt isn't big in stature, but should be big for respect, for the kind of player he is, for the career that he's had, for the kind of defender that he is, with the success that has come with his talent. He's a player to me that could stand up in a dressing room, and he was very honest there. He was the one that said no, it's the players. And it's maybe going to take somebody like him to sit the manager to the side and be the voice. And be the voice in that dressing room and go around and talk to some of these players and say, listen, we just, you know, basically, I've got to be better, you've got to be better, this is not good enough. And if they don't want to listen to seasoned pros, some of the best in the business, like Dani Carvajal, never mind the new manager, maybe they just don't want to listen. But they are a shambles at the moment. They are an absolute shambles. Yeah, he made some changes, but you mentioned it, 17th. Albacete. I mean, Racing Santander, they're top of Segunda. They're trying to get back into La Liga. They got a big game at the weekend. They're a good side. Albacete are not. And as I mentioned, you know, I looked at their home record: 10 games, 10 points. And that's a, you know, do the maths, a point a game. I mean, it's dreadful. Real Madrid turn up, they win because they're not up for the fight. And you could say in that previous Copa del Rey game against a team that I never remember the name.
The T team.
Yes. The producer told me in my ear about 3 minutes ago. And I've already forgotten. They scratched that one out because they had to play Kylian Mbappe, and Andre Lunin had to make a great save at the end. So, I mean, I almost feel for Arbeloa. It's just such a big job that everything he does in the training ground, everything he says in the dressing room, he doesn't know if that, come a Saturday or a Sunday, is just going to fall on deaf ears. And that's the problem.
What's interesting, everything Craig has said is right, Luis, isn't it, regarding a leader in the dressing room like Dani Carvajal. My concern would be, from a Real Madrid perspective, you'd imagine that he's already spoken to the players, considering the downfall that they've had, of course, since winning the Champions League. You kind of feel the trend has been very much down since then, and someone like Carvajal would have stepped up much earlier than, for example, this week.
Yeah, I think that right now it's all about trying to get together, and we all have been, not you, damn, but I'm talking figuratively. We all have been in dressing rooms when there have been problems, and the only way of of doing this is putting together, and he's totally right about having a man that, even though that he hasn't been involved because of injuries, he's got a big voice and he's very well respected inside the dressing room. It's not about Arbeloa, it's not about Xabi Alonso, it's not about Florentino Perez, the chairman. It's all about what these players can do, because the talent is there. But I think that at this stage, the players has been spoiled. I think they have the thought that because they've been winning without delivering good football, that was going to be the normal thing. We are Real Madrid, we are right there, and with this, it's going to be enough to win. And on these days, every single game is going to be difficult, and you have to turn up, and you have to give 100%. If you don't do it, a second team can pull you out of the competition.
They've had quite a few rock bottoms, Shaq.
Yeah.
If they haven't bounced or realised they have to work together after those, why is this any different?
I'm not sure, and I'm not sure why Arbeloa is so willing to kind of carry the can. And well, I understand why he does, but surely he's not to blame here, not just because he's only just fallen into this job, but more to the point, as you mentioned, Dan, there's no question that this is a good team. We saw that 2 years ago under Carlo Ancelotti when Real Madrid won everything. But ever since then, and that's the difference between good players and great players, good teams and great teams. Great teams and great players do it season in, season out. If they don't win it, they're always challenging. And you just don't get that impression from this team and a lot of these players. Now, after Vinicius Jr. missed out on the Ballon d'Or, he put out something on social media about I'm going to do it 10 times over or something of the sort. That's never come to fruition. And I've been one of Vinicius Jr.'s biggest supporters here. Incredible talent under a pressure that most of us cannot imagine. Last season, between Ancelotti and Kylian Mbappe, they carried the can for those disappointments. Now, no Carlo Ancelotti, Kylian Mbappe probably has been the only success story of this season. Yet nobody else from Real Madrid, senior or just talented, has stepped up in a way that you associate with great players and great teams. And that's a big disappointment for me, because I'm not sure how you turn that switch. I'm not sure that there is a switch that a manager can flick. This is something that players are born with and bring to the training ground and to the match field every single time they step on.
Ian?
I think there's a real problem. I think Craig's absolutely right. They really need to take those players a really big look in the mirror. They got that manager sacked. They got Alonso fired. They weren't prepared to do the hard yards to make the adaptations that he wanted. They never really gave him a chance. And I think you saw their attitude in that guard of honour incident at the end, where Mbappe waved them off. Oh, no, we're not doing that. They followed Mbappe, not Alonso. So I think it's really quite appalling. I think it's a huge culture problem there. And part of the culture problem is Florentino Perez, who's the president, because he encourages the players really. It's a classic case of player power. And those players know now that they're above the coach, really. And they can outlast the next coach who's appointed as well if they don't like him either. So that's a huge problem. Compare that to where Hansi Flick has Barcelona. You know, they're together as a unit. They're a winning machine. Real Madrid really are a bit of a mess. There's a lot of talented players, but to use the old cliche, they look like characters without a plot a lot of the time.
When Real Madrid are winning, as they have done many times, as you well know, when they're winning, because they're on it, because they've been good. And when they're losing, it's everybody else's fault, including the players. It's not their fault. It's the manager, it's the coaches, it's the tactics. Florentino Perez last year, it's the referees. It's everybody else. But when Real Madrid are winning, it's because they're great. And when they're losing, there is no mirrors in the Bernabeu. Nobody's looking at any of them. They're all playing the blame game. And they're all happy for managers to be hired and fired as long as they get the big bucks. They're happy. And they'll drag a performance out every now and again. But it's been crystal clear that the bulk of this group of players don't want to listen to change. They want to do it their way or the highway, and that is going to be the big sort of dilemma going forward. Certainly, going to be intriguing for the neutral watching it every weekend. Again, I go back to the Ancelotti to Alonso transition, we were sitting here intrigued by what we were going to witness. And in the end, it was disappointing. And we're back at the same, opening the same door. This weekend, early kickoff, I believe, on the Saturday.
Yep,
certainly Eastern time, 8 o'clock in the morning. What's it going to be? And that's the intrigue that we have now for Real Madrid. We know what Barcelona are. We know what this Hansi Flick team are. That is crystal clear. They do it their way, and they have done it pretty well in an 18-month period, 2-year period. This Real Madrid side can only turn this around for themselves. And if they don't turn that around, it's not because of the referees, not because of the officials, it's not because of Javier Tebas or La Liga or anybody else. It's on them. And I hope if they don't turn that around, that this huge crowd at the Bernabeu are not going to turn on the manager, but they're going to turn on these players.
Absolutely.
Because it can't keep, certainly from a Madrid perspective, being the manager.
Luis, it's interesting reports in Spain suggesting that Mbappe wasn't fit, but knew that Alonso was going to get sacked if indeed he lost that Super Copa final against Barca. That's why he came out to Saudi Arabia to play. That can't be true, can it?
I'm not a big fan of these kind of speculations and rumors and talks, because what I believe that Xabi Alonso and Kylian Mbappe had a talk. They decided what to do and how it was going to be, and that's how it's done. We're talking about players' power, and I'm sure that if Kylian Mbappe wasn't fit or said I cannot play, he wasn't going to be playing, or he wasn't going to be used during that game. I think everything was part of a talk that he had years before. Even I will say that Xabi didn't want to use Kylian Mbappe because he knew that at some point he's going to be needed, and if you lose Kylian Mbappe at this stage, probably the season is over. But I want to address a little bit about what the guys were talking about Hansi Flick and his way and his manner. Small details in big teams are as important as in the small teams. When Hansi Flick decided to bench a player who arrived late, and he was a very important player, people start talking, oh, you have to manage in a better way. And suddenly, weeks after, another player arrived late and he was benched once again. These small details are the one who make the team understand that the manager is the one who has the decision and have the respect. And you have to respect that if you don't get involved in those situations, the problem is later on. When the bad moments arrive is when people start losing their respect. And I think that at some point, that's what happened at Real Madrid.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and Luis or Ian, I would imagine will definitely know. Do you remember when just to basically go on that point that Luis was making, do you remember when he threw Vinicius Junior that huge drop in the Clásico that was embarrassing? The next game was Valencia, and I believe he played, which to Luis's point in a way was that was the time.
He definitely played the next game.
He played the next game at Valencia. I'm almost sure of it. And at that point, we were discussing pre-Valencia game, saying, listen, Xabi Alonso has to put a marker down here with this guy. And I'm sure he thought about it 24/7, but for whatever reason, he was back out in the field the very next game. Nothing happened. Yeah. Let's just get on with it. Things will be okay next time. And there's no doubt that this Real Madrid dressing room is a more difficult one to manage than Barcelona. Not to suggest the Barcelona one is easy, but to Luis's point, when Hansi Flick's putting the markers down, Xabi Alonso on that occasion did not. And he's the one that's sitting at home with his feet up, Hansi Flick.
And just that point, one last thing, Ian. It's interesting, despite this debacle with Xabi Alonso, I don't think, like Sid mentioned, his stock hasn't fallen too much. And I imagine when big jobs come around in England, inevitably he's going to be linked to them.
Absolutely. I mean, look what he did. An invincible season in the Bundesliga for a team that had never won that title before. I mean, it was phenomenal, the tune he got out of that team with Florian Wirtz and Granit Xhaka, of course, running the midfield, Frimpong. It was excellent. So his body of work still stands. Did he have a fair chance at Real Madrid? I think history will say he didn't, really, and the player power got rid of him after only 5 months, really, if the season starts in August. I do think if he looks back on it, he probably thinks I could have done one or two things differently. Craig and Shaq are mentioning there, that Valencia incident, he chose, I think, not to make a drama out of a crisis with that. And it was probably the wrong way to go. He could have made a statement and said, you're out the team for a couple of games. You can stew. You can think about it. I'm in charge here. He didn't do that. And then I think, I think the moment when he lost the job was when he subbed Vinicius at the weekend. Vinicius was having his best game of the season. He looked like the only player who might rescue it. And he hooked him. And you kind of knew there's something going on. And the word is, we've heard it from Sid Lowe, our expert in Madrid. He said it, that Florentino Perez has never liked too many of the coaches at all, bar Mourinho. And he does like Vinicius. So maybe that was the snapping point.
Ian, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Luis Garcia as well. I'm sure, Luis, you working this weekend with us?
Yes, sir.
He will be working on Levante against Real Madrid. As Craig mentioned, of course, it's in the early hours, not the early hours, not too early. 8 a.m. Eastern on a Saturday. Our coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN+. Yesterday, of course, we see Arsenal beat Chelsea by 3 goals to 2. Oh, Gyökeres is getting all the love for that golazo that he scored, of course, after a somewhat error for the goalkeeper. And, of course, that error was something that was discussed after the game. That's what Liam Rosenior had to say.
I think the first goal was disappointing. It's a team. That was a team goal. That's not just not on Rob. I'm asking Rob to do things that he hasn't done before. I said to him before the game, and I made this really clear: when my players make mistakes, I'm accountable. That's on me. He made a save in the second half that was absolutely world class. That could have put us out of the tie. He will improve in terms of his understanding. He's had a very good season. There are very, very good moments with him, and I'll stay positive with him as I will with all the group. My job is to help them, not to blame them. There are a lot of positives in Rob's performance today, and what you'll know with me is I protect my players. I'm asking him to do things. If he makes a mistake doing what I'm asking him to do, that's on me. But I have a lot of faith that in the long term we'll improve as a team with the messages that we're giving him and all the players.
Shaka Hislop.
Yeah?
Yes.
He's asking him to do different things. What are those things, and why does it stop you from saving balls?
To Liam Rosenior's point, yes, Sanchez did make one very good save, but the 2 errors he made were pretty basic, in all honesty. And I get what he's saying about the first, and it's a team goal.
Thinking our manager is up there taking the shots for us.
Yeah,
does that make a difference?
I do. I like a manager who says, I'm asking my goalkeeper to do certain things, or anybody else to do certain things, and if there's some teething issues to start with, I'll take that responsibility. But that's fine. But
it's not like playing out from the back. It's not like doing something different from there.
Your question was about the manager taking responsibility,
it was.
And it was. And so I applaud that. But the 2 errors from Robert Sanchez were pretty basic errors.
Right.
Made a good save, yes, but very basic errors. As bad as the first was, I actually think from a goalkeeping perspective, the second was even worse.
So would it not be better for Rosenior to come out and say, he's better than that, he's had a great season, all goalkeepers make mistakes, let's move on?
Yeah, which is what I think he's getting at here. He knows the goalkeepers made two errors.
Yeah.
And he's saying,
so why does he just say?
But he's talking about asking him to do, the fact that he's saying we're asking him to do things different, that is not in conjunction with the mistakes, because that's just goalkeeping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have an issue with what Liam Rosenior.
He's chucked 2 in.
Yeah, yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, let's cut all this right, because my early analysis of Liam Rosenior, and he might be a thoroughly nice young man. Shaq and I know his dad. I've worked with his dad, nice and all that. But my early takings of his rhetoric at Chelsea, and I didn't hear him at Hull or Strasbourg or anywhere else, is he's already setting himself up for ridicule. He's trying to baffle people with BS, right? He's asking Robert Sanchez to play out from the back. That was crystal clear, right? And Robert Sanchez almost put Chelsea in a hole several more times, particularly in the first half. Not just the goals that he threw in, but with the overplaying at the back. Now, this is nothing new, because previous Chelsea managers have asked Robert Sanchez to play out from the back. Enzo Maresco did. Mauricio Pochettino, I can't remember who he all played under. And Robert Sanchez had the same problem playing out from the back for other managers as he had yesterday and will have for Liam Rossini. So he's not asking him to do something different. He's just continuing to ask him to do something that I don't think Robert Sanchez is very good at. Yeah, he can ping a great ball and all that, but he makes bad decisions with the ball at his feet. He plays those little straight 10-yard balls into people when they got defenders straight up the back of him, when there's 5 or 6 players around. So, you know, Robert Sanchez has always had this in him, in my view, as a Chelsea goalkeeper. Brilliant saves that come up now and again, but they are all infiltrated with bundles of these mistakes.
Right.
And that I don't think is going to change. But what I think will have to change is the manager and the way that he talks to the media as if the journalists have no understanding of what managers try to do in a football field. Because when you address the media in that way, as if you're the superior brain in the room, and most managers think they are, when it all goes wrong, that comes back from the people with the pens and the cameras. And that's the early signs I can see with a manager who has, to me, supreme confidence in his own ability, but I think just needs to change the rhetoric and simplify the rhetoric a little bit to not make everybody think he's this new guy who has got these best ideas and that's going to be brilliant and that's the only way. Kind of that's how it's felt to me thus far.
I mean, my view about Sanchez really is, you know, all good teams or great teams or trophy-winning teams need a very good goalkeeper. I don't think Sanchez is a very good goalkeeper. I don't think he's good enough for Chelsea, certainly, if they're going to go on and win things this season. As for Rossini, it's a big, big jump for him. Let's see.
When what was the quote he came out with? He said...
The Manchester United quote. Sir Alex Ferguson is a
Liam Rossini, when he said the word manage... Shaq, and he said, as man, if you break it down...
Yes.
This is what I'm talking about.
Is this true? I saw this. Did you really say it? We're all going
It's been reported as true. Let me put it that way. I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
I haven't heard him say it myself, but I saw that report.
All right, we'll leave it at that then.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know, but that's my...
Should we talk about set pieces?
Yeah, if you like.
More came, of course, from Arsenal yesterday. Stevie and Frank disagreed on yesterday's show regarding how you should defend against these set pieces. Stevie says go for ball. Frank was more about the man. I'm wondering where you stand on this.
You know where I stand on it? And I've saw other teams do it. Somebody did it against Arsenal or one of the games the other day. They left 3 players up. And again, when you can thin out the penalty area, right? And I just don't understand why the teams bring everybody back, because bringing everybody back means the 6-yard box in particular becomes so condensed. And when it becomes as condensed as it is, the keeper might as well just stand on the line, right? My viewpoint is you have to make teams like Arsenal think about their defending when Arsenal are attacking set pieces. You need to make them think about what happens if there's a clearance or the goalkeeper catches it and there's a counter-attack. And by doing that, you leave players up the field and that drags at least 4, maybe 5 players out of that penalty area. And when you thin that penalty area out, yeah, Gabriel can still attack the ball and all these big players can still attack it, but you can mark these players easier without fear of blocking or getting blocked, and the goalkeeper has, without doubt, that is not even up for debate, the goalkeeper has more space to come out and command his area. That's where I would come from defending against Arsenal. That's not even, it's not even close. They are a huge threat. They're scoring a lot of goals. They've got a lot of physicality. But you saw that clip there. I think it was Zubimendi, who's about 5'9", defending 50 yards from the goal. Nothing to worry about. Mm-hmm. Nothing. 2 Arsenal players at the edge of the box, they got it covered. Nothing to worry about. There is nobody, and not enough people making Arsenal worried about what may happen. And you can't keep, if you keep doing the same things and getting the same results, that's just stupid. And teams are doing the same things and they're getting the same results. Mm-hmm. And you can't keep doing that. You can't just keep saying, let's get everybody back and shove them out the way. Let's be better at blocking. Let's be better at clearing for the goalkeeper. They've all tried it. They've all tried it. Arsenal are better. They're better at blocking. They're more physical. Their in-swingers from both sides are better than most teams. They're more accurate. So you have to do something different. And if you keep doing, and it happened at Portsmouth. Ian's team, we did the game, FA Cup, set pieces. Different players, same outcome. So you cannot sit here and tell me that what teams are doing is working. It's not. So you have to come up with something different. Not doing the same things every time and Arsenal going, thanks very much for another 2 goals this weekend. And then people, particularly online, going, oh, Arsenal, they get all the referee decisions because they're blocking and they're doing this. Well, yeah. Well, good on them. But teams have to do something different. They just have to.
Ian, Arsenal fans don't care, but does the manner of these victories and obviously the reliance on set pieces, is that taking the shine off the Premier League a little bit?
I do think this. I think it's pretty ugly and it's very far from the beautiful game. The kind of stuff we're seeing now on a regular basis. Now that everybody's got somebody putting a long throw in, it used to be a couple of teams, and it was Rory Delap and a couple of others years ago. Now we're getting these melees and NFL-style blocking going on in the penalty area all the time. Is the World Cup going to be like that as well? I don't blame Arsenal. They've got it down to a T and they're scoring all those goals. But I'd like to ask this of Xhaka. I mean, you mentioned the difficult path goalkeepers have to the ball. There are people in there who are only there not to win the ball, just to impede the goalkeeper. Do you think there needs to be some kind of legislation about all of this to, give the goalkeepers a bit more protection, frankly?
I'll be honest here, and I'm not sure what legislation you can introduce that says...
Can't touch goalies.
Yeah, that says, this player cannot stand right next to me, or whoever it is.
Elbows are allowed.
Do you remember Sir Alex Ferguson's quote? Goalkeepers get more protection than the golden eagle. And of course, until one of his keepers was fouled.
But to the point, if you put somebody to stand right next to me, and all they do is hold their position, that's not a foul, and there's nothing wrong with it, unless you just start introducing legislation like, nobody could come into the 6-yard box, which I think it's taking it too far. Even
legislation to stop that.
Perspective.
We're bringing out legislation to try and stop one team.
To try and help Sanchez.
Manchester derby. The first of the games, early game on Saturday. City currently sitting 2nd, United sitting 7th, 11 points between them. Let's take a look at everyone's predictions. No one is on tomorrow, where of course they look at it harder. Everyone's gone for 3-1. Look at that.
Except you, Dan.
Apart from me, 2-2, yes. Always support United.
Is that just to try and make United fans think
I just don't know. I don't know anymore. City can't... I don't know about anything
I'm presuming... I am...
That's a hell of an admission, Dan.
I know sometimes the hospitals are a little bit... a little bit overrun and the staff and the nurses are busy and all that, but you can switch a TV on when you're in hospital, can't you?
No, obviously.
I presume you watch Man United.
I've been out of hospital since October. Right?
Well, you clearly...
It's at home. For the TV.
Well, you clearly haven't watched.
But my thing is, City can't defend, and they're just a bit weird. They had all those draws, and another draw is what I'm expecting. 100%. It's definitely going to happen. Ian, do you want to say anything about this game?
Well, yeah, I mean, City have drawn 3 in a row.
They have, yeah. That's why I went for a draw, Ian.
They're 6 points. So you're spot on, Dan. And you'd think, wouldn't you, there'd be some kind of bounce for Manchester United from the Michael Carrick factor, new broom. I don't know whether there will be or not. I just don't think they're that good a team, Manchester United, and I think City have just got a bit too much for them, really.
More on this tomorrow, by the way, as the guys will be looking ahead to Manchester United.
Big preview.
City, indeed. And of course, looking at the other big matches this weekend. Speaking of Xhaka, here is Power Rankings.
After break over the Christmas, Arsenal stay top. They just run away with everything.
But Arsenal, they beat Portsmouth, but they did draw against Liverpool.
They did.
But Bayern Munich scored 8 against Wolfsburg.
So what you want me to say about that?
Well, their form is better. Whether you
They're against other Bundesliga opposition, but again, as much as they had a break over Christmas, they went into the Christmas break drawing against bottom of the table Metz. So I took that into consideration. Drawing Liverpool is one thing, drawing Metz is another. Barca in a third. Lions continue to be top in Liga.
Is that Inter it's in it, or is it intern?
Well, I'm not sure anymore. But Inter, well, this version of Inter in the fifth, Porto, PSV, Galatasaray, Villa and Dortmund, who've been a bit of a surprise, have put together a little bit of a run, all of a sudden find themselves in a 10th.
Ian, what did you make of Shaka's first power rankings of the year?
Well, and we're a Macclesfield. Biggest
yes.
We're Albacete.
You're right,
No,
you're right.
Real Madrid, come on.
Yeah,
I should have.
I mean, FC Porto,
I do stand corrected.
PSV.
I do stand corrected. I should have had Macclesfield and
And
I didn't realise
Albacete.
that was the first one of the year, Shane.
Yes, it is.
And the last
Well, I've
You
been on
avoided that,
Christmas
by the
break
way.
as well.
You had a Christmas
Are you going to call it in when you're at the carnival? Are you going to call one in?
Extra time is available. Ian is staying with us. He'll be discussing which is more embarrassing, United's loss against Grimsby or Real Madrid against Albacete. Be sure to check that out over on YouTube. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Ian Dark is with us, as is Shaka Hislop, and Craig Burley, who keeps referring to Liam Rossinho as a young man. Yes! He said, I'm sure he's a great young man, but he's talking nonsense at the moment.
How many times? Clip this back.
Yep.
The show.
What's that?
How many times I've said young man?
Definitely called him
Yeah.
a young man once, yes.
Oh, once.
Yes.
Well, he is a young man.
It's not compared to you.
No, well, compared to you, he's a young man.
No,
he's younger than you.
Not really.
And in reality,
he's not a young man. Hello, young man.
He's a that's
Young man.
That's a small man.
It is a small
You're looking
man,
down,
that's
a very
true.
small man if you're looking
Yeah,
down.
but to the majority of the people, he's not young.
Well, he's a young man in terms of management, particularly in the Premier League.
But why do you refer to him as a young man? Then?
Why not? Why does it irk you?
Why does his age matter?
What,
You've already put him in a young, inexperienced box. I don't like it.
I'm quite happy to go into the ageism bracket. I don't mind.
What's more embarrassing, Ian? Manchester United losing to Grimsby or Real Madrid losing to Albacete?
I think it's got to be Real Madrid, hasn't it? The world's most famous club being knocked out by the team. What are they, 70 in the second division? Manchester United losing to Grimsby, yeah, big shock. But United, everybody knows they've got their problems. So I'm going to go Real Madrid there.
Grimsby a fourth tier, though.
But Man United have pants.
That's
And they had Amarim.
right, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Shaka, you agree?
Yes, I do.
Well-
I concur with Ian.
Okay.
Well, if you'd thought about it, then your power rankings would have been different.
I regret that.
Craig, why should Vinny or Bellingham play second fiddle to Mbappe when they already achieved the success he's hoping for? They've won the Champions League, especially when he isn't tracking back or helping the team without the ball. Why should they accept doing the dirty work for him?
Because that's their role in the team.
Yeah.
And what they did previously has gone. It's history. And he is a better player. He is carrying the team. And so others need to do more. He does Mbappe, that is. He has tracked back and he has done some work. It has got better. And you can argue that Vinicius Junior lack of responsibility to track back is arguably worse than the player who's playing the best. Jude Bellingham, I don't buy the Jude Bellingham stuff. Jude Bellingham, all right, he can be, I think, a complex character, and he gets a bit, he gets a bit frustrated and he looks frustrated, but he works hard. He gets around, he makes tackles and he runs about. I think this is a sort of Vinny issue. And the reason why he needs to up his game is because Mbappe's a better player, Mbappe's carrying the team, and Vinicius has been inconsistent. So it's not even up for debate. Out of those two players in particular, there's only one player that needs to up his game, and it isn't the Frenchman.
Ian, what surprised you the most? Obviously, you've called the biggest gains to Real Madrid over the last decade. What surprised you the most about this demise?
The players have been kind of unprofessional, really. This season, in particular. I mean, they've been winning trophies under Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, I think what we're seeing here is just what a brilliant coach Carlo Ancelotti was, if we didn't know that already. You need to be a politician as well. That's clear, isn't it, at the Bernabeu? And he handled it all so smoothly without looking like he was doing much, but he really was. So what surprised me now is, under this Alonso era, is the players switching off and not being professional enough to say, okay, new coach, a new way of playing. We want to hit back here. We want to get the trophies back again. They didn't win a trophy last season. Barcelona beat them all 4 times. You'd think the players would really have the bit between their teeth, and they haven't had the bit between their teeth.
You know, I'd love to see, and obviously we judge them, and the fans and the media judge them by what they see in a stadium, home and away. But Shaq and I know, and I'm sure Ian does, but we know as players, that's all set up by what goes on during the week.
Right.
Because it's the old light switch again. You think you can just flick it and it works? Or, was that the case? Or were they really putting it in training and it was sharp and it was going wrong at the weekend? Or is it B, which I would think is a closer summary, this was a kind of haphazard attitude in training. And that's where, as you know, that's where it festers.
The most surprising thing in all of this for me is how quickly it's happened. I don't think there's any question 2 years ago Real Madrid was the best team on the planet. Won it all. And all of a sudden now you've just seen, in the space of 2 years, it just seems like there's fighting within that dressing room, fighting between the dressing room and the boardroom. You don't associate that kind of implosion with a club like Real Madrid.
You go back to that point quickly. I think that is arguable, and I'll tell you why. They had the best results on the planet, and and I think maybe that's why we're seeing what we see now. Ancelotti in particular had these big moments, right?
Yeah.
But if we're truthful about a lot of those big moments, they were battered by Man City. And Rodrigo comes on at the end and they have these big moments and they win. They were battered by Liverpool and they have this big moment where Vinicius scores. But in terms of a game, these matches, and there were others against other teams in different countries, but in terms of games, these weren't even a close contest. But yet Real Madrid were able to have moments of genius or just a great bit of play, and that was what was getting them over the line. Rather than coming close to outplaying some of these teams, they did not. So they were a club in recent years for big moments. But a lot of those big moments have gone now. And when they go, you're looking at the rest of your play and the other facets of your team, and they've been, the questions around them are large.
For Craig, rank these 3 players in terms of mentality during the time you played with them. Zola, Hullet, Wise.
Mentality? Don't know what that means in a sense to gauge these players. It's a difficult one because, Hullet was World Player of the Year twice. He wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but he was an absolute animal on the field. Big, 6'4", quick as anybody, strong as anybody, talented as anybody, scored goals, played defence, in the air. I mean, just incredible. So I don't know. Zola had a skill set that was incredible. I suppose the answer would have to be the player that did more with less would have to have been Dennis.
Right.
As good as he was, and I played with him, and he was a good player, but he wasn't Zola and he wasn't Hullet, but he had that mentality. They had as well, but he had the mentality that most people were bigger than him, most people were stronger than him, most people were quicker than him. So he was up against it, I bet you, as a kid coming up. And he came to Chelsea as a wide player from Wimbledon and eventually became a central midfielder right in the hub of the game. And he was a leader. We talked about it with Real Madrid, Carvajal. Who's going to lead? Dennis was a leader in the dressing room without being big in stature. So I would say, in terms of mentality, he had the mental strength to overcome all these things to go on and have a great career.
For Ian, with all these managerial changes happening in the Premier League, would these vacancies be tempting for experienced coaches like Thomas Tuchel or Pochettino, or clubs looking for younger managers to relate with the players?
Yeah, I mean, a lot's going to happen, isn't it, in the summer after the World Cup? A lot of those national team coaches are going to end their international contract and be out on the market. And of course, the clubs are very aware of that, which is why we're seeing a few interims going on at the moment. All those interims are saying the right things, or trying to say the right things, and hoping they might be kept on, like Michael Carrick. But it will be a very busy summer, I think, on the managerial merry-go-round.
Shaka, rank these three by form this season. Courtois, Joan Garcia, Raya.
By form this season, I go Joan Garcia over Raya, just. Probably because Raya has by far the better defenders around him, and Courtois in third. I say that though, if struck oil in my backyard tomorrow morning,
yes,
and I decided to build a team, I'd pick Courtois.
You wouldn't buy a team, you'd move to Trinidad. That'd be it, we never see you again.
Courtois might want to come and play in Trinidad and Tobago Pro League.
You wouldn't be anywhere near that.
I'm just saying, you never know. Oil might change me,
far-fetched, I doubt it. Far-fetched stories.
It's amazing how things change, though, isn't it? Because I always thought they had a good goalkeeper. A really good, you know, they had the German number 2 in Ter Stegen, and he gets injured.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's like 8th choice.
Yeah.
And they bring a guy off the beach,
Yes.
Wojciech Szczesny, and then he starts playing. And then they bring this fella in from Espanyol. And I have to say, he was an unknown to me, really, as he probably was to most. And he's been...
Yeah, he's been fantastic.
Really good.
Fantastic.
And he's been asked a lot as well with that Barca defence.
Yeah.
Ian, do you think Wrexham can get into the promotion playoffs this season? They currently sit in 9th, just 1 point off the final playoff spot.
Well, that says they can, doesn't it? I mean, it's a division where anybody can beat anybody. They've come together with quite a good little run, haven't they, just recently? So they'll be starting to believe, and it may be, with the kind of Hollywood money that they have behind them, they can invest quite well in this January window as well. So that's probably one to watch, yeah.
Ian, is it fair to say that as much as it is a fairy tale story in a Hollywood way, that those fans in the lower league clubs aren't maybe as happy as Wrexham's ascension as others? They are kind of the pantomime villain, yeah? Is that fair?
Well, yeah, they've been set up, aren't they? The team everybody wants to beat now. I mean, they'd never heard of Wrexham a few seasons ago when they were knocking around in the conference and going nowhere until the Hollywood boys came in. But yeah, that's just part of the way things are. They are the pantomime villains. Everybody wants to beat them and put one over on them, but they continue to go up the pyramid, and it's going to be quite a story when they arrive in the Premier League. That may not be this season. It probably won't be, but it could happen, couldn't it?
Yeah, with your oil shot, you can invest in them as well.
I wonder if Americans are sort of pitching up in Wrexham now.
Yeah, they are, absolutely.
I'd be interested
Yeah,
to
they
know.
are.
They're big time. There and Richmond.
You walk
Those
down
are
the street
two.
in Wrexham now. And
Yeah.
Ted Lasso.
I bet you when you walk down the street in Wrexham now, the number of Americans that have been
Disappointed?
I mean, I have to say, I don't know what they would have had in their mind when they were travelling there, what Wrexham was going to be like. God bless them. But yeah, I'm sure it is. It's amazing.
Sure it is what?
Amazing. Well, I got a point to pick with John Champion, actually, because he was doing the commentary. Typical commentator. He was doing the commentary on the Wrexham Forest game, and as usual, at the end, when Wrexham won, when Forest missed a penalty, it's a Hollywood story.
Yes.
It's not a Hollywood story. A team going for the championship with all that money against a team struggling in the Premier League who may be going to the championship. It's not a Hollywood story. Macclesfield's a Hollywood story. It's too easy now to throw out that Hollywood line. Commentators.
Yeah.
Commentators.
Yeah. Go on.
Horrible people. Stats.
Yeah.
Horrible people. God, that descended quickly. Wow.
I wish commentators would stop reading me stats out. Not Ian.
Okay.
Just other ones.
Yeah, there is too many.
Ramming
stats.
these stats down my throat. Just let's just have a talk about the game.
Somebody said Craig, somebody said that stats should be used like only when there's a wow factor or a little bit of seasoning to illustrate a point. But
Yes.
I agree with you. You don't want to be bombarded with them.
No.
Should be a quota.
And after it, you should be like, I don't know, there should be some sort of jolt that you get as a commentator.
Or just a sound that plays.
It's almost
Nobody
like
cares.
an electric jolt. Not going to do you too much harm.
Shaka.
It's going to make you jump out your seat
Right.
and not give a stat again.
Right.
Like 2.5.
Oh, God.
It sounds like capital punishment or something coming here from Craig.
Yeah, freaking annoying.
Right, come on.
It's getting worse as well.
Shaka, Paquetá to Flamengo. What does it show about his ambition? West Ham surely get relegated.
Yeah, West Ham are going down.
Yeah,
Wants to go back home.
that's it.
Yeah.
Don't blame him.
No.
Would you have gone to Trinidad?
Well, actually, you're a bit soft for a West Ham
As soon as
fan.
I strike my oil,
'Cause I
I'll
tell
be
you
gone.
what, you're a bit soft because, you know, he's had his moments, and I think he had a rapport with David Moyes, even though you would think the two sort of personalities and styles they're very contrasting. But he's really mailed it in for West Ham, hasn't he? At a time when they need him. That's how I'm looking
I
at
don't
it.
think he's been great.
He's been a
a long time.
liability.
No, not just now. I don't think he's been great for a long.
Why is Craig Burley tweeting so much these days? When he called everyone on social media puppets. Muppets, sorry.
No, Muppets.
Yeah.
Well, most of them are, yeah.
So why are you talking to Muppets?
I'm not talking to them.
You're talking to
I
the
don't talk
small
to-
majority who aren't Muppets.
No, I'm not. I don't talk to any of them.
So who are you broadcasting
I
your
just put a
opinion
tweet
to?
out and then I just leave it if I fancy it. I don't debate with people, and I certainly don't do those. You know, you need to have a blue tick. I don't have a blue tick. Why would I pay for a blue tick?
Yeah.
You know, you get a blue tick now. You can write an essay on Twitter. This big thing. No, nobody wants
yeah.
it. Nobody wants it. But you just want a quick word. You're an idiot. Goodbye. I'm bored. I tell you why. The main reason is
There's
I'm
no
sat
golf.
at-
There's no
There's
golf.
no golf at the moment.
that's it.
But I don't debate. I don't get into Twitter debates with morons.
Final question. This is a good one. What's something on your bucket list that you haven't done yet? Is there something you'd like to do that you haven't done?
Yeah.
Strike oil and
Yeah.
build a team in Trinidad?
Retire.
Retire? Well, I think that's everybody's bucket list for you to
Oh.
retire. Ian?
I'd like to go and see England win the Ashes in Australia, but that's never going to happen,
Blimmin'
is
heck.
it?
Have you ever gone to a game in Australia? Have you gone with the
No.
Barmy Army, Ian? That must be a good experience.
I'd love to do that one. Yeah, one winter, but we're working, aren't we?
Well,
Yeah, my
well,
bucket-
you've got enough fortune stashed away, Ian. You can take a winter off.
I haven't.
Augusta.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
To play or?
No, just to go to town. But it's twin with right.
Have a
Here,
coffee.
here it's,
That'd be very burly. I can't be bothered now.
I hear it's twinned with Wrexham. No, I want to play Augusta, which will, if I'm being honest, will probably never happen.
Oh, but it's nice to have a dream.
I want to skydive.
Because you couldn't before. No, you pilot lesson.
Yeah, I couldn't be a pilot before.
But you want to skydive.
Hold on,
I'd
why
love to
couldn't you be a
skydive.
pilot?
It's part of your contract as a footballer.
Oh, right.
Do you remember someone called into Soccer AM and said that
Yes,
Shaka was getting left?
started taking
Oh no, you're not. You have these things. You're not allowed to
Yeah.
ride a motorbike
Yeah.
and all, or ski. Nobody told Manuel
I
Neuer.
started taking pilot's license. I took a pilot's
I'll be honest. If I
flying
ever
lesson.
got on a flight,
flying lesson.
Flying
That's what I was looking for.
if I ever got on a flight and the cockpit door opened and you put your head round the corner, I'd kick the window then get out.
Never would autopilot be used so much. A little nap.
I was signed up. I was ready to go.
So skydiving you've never done but would like to do?
No, I've done the indoor skydiving in
Yes,
Vegas.
in
once.
Vegas.
I did
Yeah,
that.
my kids did that.
I
Yeah.
wanna do it. I
Collision
wanna do it.
imminent.
Wow.
Collision imminent. He's like sleeping.
Tell you what, it was good, you know.
Yeah, I like
You know,
that.
the old flying lessons.
There you are, the Ashes Masters.
So why don't you? But you couldn't do it because you were a
Jacko would be a
footballer.
great
Why not
pilot.
now?
Oh yeah, very.
Yes.
I'd love. Can you imagine
Done.
him?
I'm
that?
done.
On
Like,
the
why
flight?
couldn't I now? I just said I'm
I think
done.
of everyone on this panel, Shaka is number one when it comes to being a pilot.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, because Stevie, obviously, and you.
Don't put me. Do not put me. Don't put me in the.
Volatile, yes.
You'll be tweeting morons. You'll be tweeting morons. Hold on, we'll take off in a minute.
Oh, no, going up the flight. Right. Going up the flight, just fighting with people.
You're a Muppet. That's it.
Get off.
There we are. That's it. God, that was far too long.
He's a pilot, isn't he? Jurgen Klinsmann.
Jurgen Klinsmann.
He's got a helicopter.
yeah.
Would not get in his chopper.
Yeah.
There's a
chance.
whole series in this, you know. Which football pundits and commentators would be the best pilot?
There we are. Yes. Oh, God, Stevie. That's it. Stevie's back tomorrow, actually. He will be here looking ahead to...
Flying in tomorrow?
Tell you what.
Hey!